What is going on, squad? Welcome to another amazingly fantastical and informative and entertaining episode of the Make Fit Happen podcast. I'm your co-host, Jupe, the engaged human boardman. And joining me, as always, is Amanda Fireball Kim. What's going on, Amanda Kim? How are you?
Oh, what's up? What's up? Spending most of my day fucking packing my house because I'm moving.
Oh, snippity snap! Yeah, we haven't done an episode in a while. I'm realizing.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 weeks. I
Oh
want
my
to say two
goodness
weeks.
gracious! What are we doing with our lives? Everything is what we're
Well,
doing with our lives.
originally we were gonna try to do an episode last weekend because I was actually in Colorado with Jupe.
That's correct.
Uh, Part of it was for his birthday. Part of it was something else, which I'll let him talk about.
Because I'm engaged.
Boom! How did
Boom.
you magically move that ring to your thumb like in seconds?
You don't even know because I'm like,
You don't
ready?
even know.
It's there now. Ready? And then, it's there now. I don't even
Fucking
know.
magic.
Because what? You a fucking wizard, bitch? How the a fucking TikTok trend? Yep.
Fucking wizard.
Also, I learned so apparently in the United States, men don't put their rings on at all until they're actually married. But
Mm.
in Europe, men put the ring on their right hand while they're engaged and put on their left hand when they're married. So I decided to do that
Oh,
because I like wearing my ring. It makes me happy, and yeah, so I'm
yeah.
engaged.
So Jupe is engaged. Super
Yeah,
exciting. I was there.
I'm a fiance.
Uh, with his fiance,
Yeah,
and originally we were going for Jupe's birthday, and then I knew he was going to propose, so definitely wanted to be there, and it was awesome. Jupe did a very nice proposal.
yep. I'm all cute and shit with some giraffes and whatnot. If you want to see pictures, go to the
Fucking
gram.
adorable.
Go to the gram. You'll see all the cute pictures and shit. We're just the cutest folks that ever could be. And now we're planning the wedding, and it's magical. Actually, not. Uh, Wedding planning is not great. But
Stressful.
yeah, you know, it is. It is. It is
Yeah,
what it is. But
I think part of it is you guys are trying to get married by the end of the year.
oh
And
yeah,
like that's just a lot of stress to do in a matter of 4 to 5 months. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yep. We're trying to knock it out, get her done, move on to the next ordeal,
Get her
aka
done.
babies. So, anywho,
AKA Jupe wants babies.
aka I need little mini jupes running around. Yeah, it's already. I need little
Oh
mini
yeah.
jupes. Yep.
100%.
Or jupettes. I mean, if a jupette comes out, it's fine. But I'd prefer little mini Jupingtons
It's
running
fine.
around. That'd be magical. Okay. Anywho's and Howard. We're going to be moving on to the meat and potatoes of this here podcast. We're going to be going
Potatoes.
over different body types today. The big three, the ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Those are going to be the big things we're going to be going by. So what exactly are the differences between these three body types? Miss Amanda Kim, like what are people expecting? We're going to go into each one individually, but like, how did this come to be exactly?
So there are three, like Jupe was saying, there's three main body types that people refer to, and it's based on really your metabolic activity and physical appearance. So they
Okay.
relate the two of like how fast is your metabolism compared to how do your body looks due to that metabolism.
Hmm.
And another way you could look at it is like how easily do you gain or lose muscle mass is another way
Mm.
people look at it as well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um, and,
Go ahead.
and we kind of will go over the training and nutrition aspect of each body type to kind of give you an idea of what might be best suited if you fall into one of these categories.
Yeah, for sure. So first one, we're gonna get into the little skinny mini. I like to remember it as a as this one. The first one is Ecto has a T in it because you're a little skinny bitch and T's are skinny. So that's what I think of anyway. So the first one is going to ectomorph. So what exactly like would categorize you as an ectomorph?
So, an ectomorph is categorized as someone who is lean, has small joints, small overall frame, usually fast metabolism, burns calories easily, and remains lean or low body fat with relative ease.
Okay.
However, the caveat to that is they struggle to put on and maintain muscle mass.
Right.
So, and the other thing is some people characterize a ectomorph's personality as being anxious, self-conscious, artistic, thoughtful, quiet, and private.
What?
And they enjoy, yeah. I was looking this up, and they actually had like personality stereotypes for each one,
Hmm.
which is funny because Jupe would probably classify himself as closer to an ectomorph because
Correct.
he can lose weight very easily. So I thought that was interesting that they actually had like personality aspects of each one because
I'm
that's
not.
something I never considered at all when looking
I
at these
call
body
bullshit.
types.
I'm waving the flag. Flag on the play. That's not real life, is it? Let me think about this. Where are we at here?
I don't think you act like that.
Yeah, I'm so thoughtful. Yeah, definitely. I'm very artistic, as you know, obviously. Um,
Oh
nope,
yeah.
nope, that's not me at all. I'm not private. Not quiet. Boo! I call bullshit. I'm not. I look at that.
Yeah, they almost make
My
it.
body language just shifted. I like folded my hands and I was like, "This is bullshit." About to have a fucking little pouty session over here.
Oh yeah, you just shut that one down real
Yeah,
quick.
I do see where they're coming from. Like, I do know a lot of ectomorphs that kind of fall along that line. Um,
Hmm.
but I didn't know that. Anyway, as you were saying, continue as you were about ectomorphs and them being stereotypical and bullshit.
So, ectomorphs are considered energy factories. Their fast metabolism is incredibly effective at transforming carbs into fuel. So, they metabolize carbohydrates very, very well. They can do very well on a high carb diet. And this is what gives them a leaner look when compared to the other two body types. Ectomorphs generally do well at endurance sports because they can stay relatively lean. So
Does
then,
it
if
have
we
any?
look at their training and nutrition,
Is there
go
anything
ahead.
correlation wise that shows that they have more slow twitch muscle than fast twitch muscle?
So I looked that up because I thought that it would have a correlation, and apparently not.
Mm,
Because mostly, like an ectomorph has to do with your metabolism, and an ectomorph can be someone that's really, really tall, that's short, like the body. I don't want to say shape, but like the heights and things like that can vary so much.
gotcha.
And it's not so much related to your slow and fast twitch muscle fibers, but more so how do you metabolize different macronutrients to use them as
Mm.
energy.
Interesting. All right, cool. So, what? So for an ectomorph, you're burning a ton of calories. You got little itty bitty teeny weeny string bang muscles. Um, and so what exactly how does your nutrition and training differ from the other ones exactly?
So an ectomorph tends to respond well to carbohydrates, like we were saying. So they
Mm,
can pretty much eat those freely and not really count them as much. Or they are at such a high level of carbohydrate intake that they'll never almost never exceed it. Like for
mm,
example, I had a client that was an ectomorph similar to Jupe, and this guy could eat like 500, 600 grams of carbs easily, like no
mm,
problem. Um, but most days he wouldn't even hit that. But that was what we set his targets at because he was actually trying to gain muscle. And it
mm-hmm.
was really difficult for him at the time because that amount of carbohydrates is quite a lot to put it in
Yeah,
perspective.
I
Like,
uh, I
it's
can
like
definitely
fucking
attest to that.
six Skittle packets.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. For me, it's like I
Hmm.
notice that I can eat it, but it depends. For me personally, it depends on the carbohydrate. So I definitely classify myself as an ectomorph because I just have a hard time putting on weight until recently, and but it depends on what the carbohydrate source is for me. So if it's a lot of sugar,
Right.
then I'll add on some fat mass very quickly. But if it comes from like rice, potatoes, pasta, pizza, whatever, like those more grainy kind of carbohydrates, then I can
Hmm.
pound that shit down no problem and have
Right.
almost no effect. So definitely can attest to that.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely agree with Jupe. So it does depend a little bit on the source. So if you want to maintain health and you're health conscious, even though you're an ectomorph, you want to kind of choose healthier sources of carbohydrates. So ones that are
Mm,
rich in fiber, like fruits and veggies and whole grains. Make sure you eat plenty of protein, especially from lean animal sources, and get most of your fat from plant based fats, which is mostly nuts and seeds, is
Mm,
what's recommended.
okay.
So with a high metabolism, it makes it easy to get lean, and it can seem like you can eat whatever you want and not gain weight. And that's definitely true when you're younger, but as you age, naturally your metabolism will slow down. And that's primarily due to each year that you age, you are going to lose some muscle mass,
I would say that.
which can result in weight gain and body fat gain. So you can be an ectomorph style body, but as you get into your later years, you could easily start to gain weight and become overweight or have a higher body fat percentage.
I think that's kind of how we see, like, I would say older men. They have a big old beer belly and skinny arms. I would say that's kind of like the
And
typical.
skinny legs.
Yep, and skinny legs. That's like your ectomorph old man dad bod. You know.
Yeah, they have the beer belly basically.
Yeah. But don't. That's what it is. It's a little skinny dude with a big old beer belly. Yeah, we're not gonna let that happen though, folks. We refuse.
Yeah,
Refuse.
don't fall into that. Don't fall into
No.
that.
Bad for you. Yeah. So then, what other kind of nutrition tips can we give these ectomorphs? What do I need to know about getting big as a skinny little bitch?
So it's recommended that you eat every 2 to 4 hours. So the more frequently you eat, the better it is. Add at least 500 calories if you want to gain weight or muscle.
Okay.
Choose, which is weird to me, but choose warm foods over cold foods because apparently it aids in digestion,
Hmm.
which I thought was weird. I've never thought
Interesting.
of looking at it that way, but
Huh.
that's fine.
Okay.
You want to eat more quick digesting carbohydrates around workouts and around times that you're trying to gain weight. So fruits are a good option. Dried or fresh fruits have usually easy to digest, high amounts of carbohydrates and sugars, especially things like bananas, mangoes, pineapples, papaya, avocado, and peaches. Those are all like kind of highly dense carbohydrate uh, fruits that you could look at.
Gotcha.
And then the
Especially
key
the
is,
pineapple. You know,
oh yeah,
wink,
oh
wink,
yeah,
gun.
it's good for the ladies too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very funny.
Jupe's gonna hate me for that
That's
one.
that's an inside joke. We don't talk about that.
It's an inside joke. Yeah, yeah,
Inside joke.
yeah.
Anywho's
Katie
an
started
hour.
it, but it's an inside
Continues
joke.
as you were. As you were.
So and the key, as you were. The key is to still eat healthy and eat a balanced diet that's rich in nutrients. So just because you have an ectomorph body type doesn't mean you should use that as an excuse to eat everything, including just eat junk food all the time. Especially if you're trying to gain muscle or have a healthy, ripped physique, you do want to actually eat nutrient dense foods and don't just rely on the fact that your metabolism's super fast, that it lets you get away with eating whatever you want because you create bad habits in your mind and that continues throughout the years. And as you get older, like we said, that metabolism will slow down and it will catch up to you.
Yep.
So you want to still create those good habits now, so that way, as you get older, you maintain those habits, and it's a lot easier for you.
Exactly. Just get your habits in place now before all the bad shit happens. Is all I'm gonna say. Now, when it
Exactly.
comes to training,
Um,
like what do we do? Like what does a little skinny guy got to do as far as training?
so if you're an ectomorph, you are at a disadvantage when it comes to building muscle and sculpting the body. So the
Okay.
goal of sculpting and creating curves on a small, thin frame can be achieved with a dedicated training and nutrition program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all ectomorphs, whether his or her goal is to be a bodybuilder or achieve a healthy, lean, and strong physique, can benefit from a consistent weight training program. So let's talk about cardio first.
Okay.
Ectomorphs tend to excel in endurance type activities, so it's not surprising that many prefer cardio training over weight training. The key is you want to stimulate more muscle growth, so you want to minimize the amount of cardio you do and
Mm-hmm.
just keep it at a general health level, which most charts that you look at just recommend 3 times a week of about 30 minutes at a very steady pace.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing really intense, nothing that's going to burn a ton of calories, nothing that's going to exhaust you. Just like a 30-minute walk 3 times a week is kind of what you're shooting for.
Okay. And then as far as like
Okay.
weightlifting, like what do you got to do?
So, weight training to build muscle mass, increase strength, you want to stick to a very simple routine. And what that means is concentrate on the compound lifts and focus on lifting heavy.
Mm.
Um, you want to do anywhere from 3 to 5 3 to 5 sets on exercises, and then you don't really want to go above 8 to 12 reps, even on accessory lifts. But especially compound movements, you may want to stay 6 reps or less and really lift heavy to stimulate muscle growth.
Yeah.
And those type of weight training programs are what's going to help you the most. And also hitting those muscle groups frequently. So starting out with like a legs push pull routine will benefit people who are an ectomorph much more than someone who struggles to lose weight or is the opposite of an ectomorph, if that makes sense.
Yeah, legs push pull is my favorite personally. I just did pull today actually,
Yeah.
and I definitely felt like big old beast mode Jones over here,
Yoked.
yoked. Yeah, always. All right, the next one on the list. So ectomorphs is a little skinny one. That's gonna be kind of our baby bear. Okay, another little thing
Baby
here,
bear.
baby bear. The next one we're gonna be going over is mesomorph, which is I'd say mesomorph is kind of what most folks are. Um, Maybe I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's gonna be the one that's kind of in the middle. So like, why don't you go into details about like what exactly having a mesomorphic frame is?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say most people are mesomorph simply because in my mind the mesomorph is the athletic looking one. So like
Mm,
they're just naturally athletic looking even if they didn't play sports.
those fucking hoes.
Like yeah, exactly. They just naturally have an athletic physique and they could never play football or touch a basketball or hit a baseball in their life. That's the type of person that I envision as a mesomorph.
Hate them.
So they're
Good at
exactly. They're
everything.
just at it. Yeah, they're good at everything. They're at a complete advantage. So they typically
Bitches.
are strong and solid, not overweight or underweight. Their bodies may be described as rectangular in shape with an upright posture.
Okay.
So basically, like they have that V shape for guys, is the
Yeah.
best way I could explain it. So they have
Broad shoulders,
big, broad
small
shoulders.
waist.
Yep, small
Okay.
waist, so it tapers down into a V. Their legs kind of come out a little bit, so they may not have super big legs, but their legs aren't super small either. Another way you could look at it is a lot of mesomorphs have very defined calves, as weird as this sounds.
Okay.
But their structure is very much like they have pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Like pretty balanced physique for a guy. So like, if you ever see that bodybuilder guy that you're like clearly never does legs, that's not a mesomorph.
Yeah.
Because naturally a mesomorph will have a little bit of muscle on their legs. They tend to have very defined calves that are big. And then they, like we said, they have that V taper. So they have broad shoulders and it comes down to a smaller waist. So that's
Mm.
basically a mesomorph
Okay.
structure. And it's
Gotcha.
kind of the ideal for bodybuilding,
Yeah.
is the best way I can explain it.
Especially for classic physique, I assume.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Okay.
Gotcha.
So their characteristics are a couple of other things. They may have a square shaped head, as weird as that sounds. Like we were saying, they have muscular chest and shoulders, so that gives them that bigger V taper. They have muscular arms and legs, and their body's pretty evenly distributed.
Okay.
So, like the ideal male physique kind of has that V taper going to the waist, and then it comes out a little bit towards the legs. That would be a very balanced and symmetrical physique, and that's kind of what the mesomorphs fall into.
Mm. Okay.
So mesomorphs may have no trouble eating what they want to eat, as they may lose weight easily, or on the flip side, they may gain weight easily. So they can lose body fat and gain muscle fairly easily. They will not lose weight as rapidly as an ectomorph, and they will not gain weight as rapidly as the endomorph, which is the next body type we're going to talk about. They're
Mm.
kind of like that happy medium.
Okay.
So they can kind of stay in that, I would say, that 10 to 12% body fat range, which I think for guys is kind of the ideal to
Yeah,
maintain.
I'd say so.
Even if you're tall, yeah, if you're a taller guy, it may be up to 15%, because if you're taller, 15% body fat may look like a 10% body fat on a shorter guy.
Yeah.
So they kind of can maintain that and have pretty dense muscle mass as well.
Mm. Gotcha. Gotcha. No, that makes total sense. Um. Yeah, I wish I was so like some of the classic mesomorphs, like Arnold was a classic mesomorph.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Frank
say
Zane.
Frank Zane, Sebum, Chris Bumstead, as it said. Who else? What was the other one I was thinking of? Column, Von Monger, also is your very
Yeah.
typical mesomorph because they got that real solid broad shoulders. Most of your super athletic um, guys, that kind of stuff. That's what I would say anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. Hmm.
Anywho's and Howard. Um, let's see here. What else we need to get? So what about for nutrition and all that stuff like that? What are we looking at for a mesomorph? I know they're kind of balanced, but like, should they stay within specific guidelines? Like, what are we thinking?
So with a mesomorph, with any of these body types, it all has to do with your skeletal frame and your natural propensity to gain or lose muscle mass or gain or lose fat, right?
Okay.
So you can't necessarily change your body type by eating a certain diet. You can, however, tweak your eating habits to make the most of your body type and support a healthy weight.
Okay.
So a
Okay.
mesomorph may gain and lose weight easily since they have a higher muscle mass. They
Mm-hmm.
may need more calories than other body types, but it's still a delicate balance for them.
Okay.
Um, they may do better on a higher protein diet with less emphasis on carbohydrates. So, a little bit less carbs compared to an ectomorph and a little bit higher protein. And they may consider dividing their plate into thirds and focusing on the following food groups. So, for protein, on one third of the plate, fuels the muscle, helps with muscular repair. Is a good choices include eggs, white meat, white like chicken, fish,
Mm-hmm.
beans, lentils, and high protein dairy, and red meat as well.
Okay.
And then on another third of their plates, they want fruits, veggies, or like highly dense carbohydrates.
Okay.
So they'll focus on whole grain, whole fruits, excuse me, and vegetables with skins instead of processed varieties that can contain sugar and salt.
Mm-hmm.
And they want something that's higher in fiber, antioxidants, and phytochemicals to support a healthy immune system. And then the last part may consist of fats, or they may mix their whole grains in there.
Okay.
So, like we were saying, the whole grains may consist of quinoa, brown rice, and oatmeal to help fill up the stomach, be a
Right.
little bit more dense in the fiber, and round out the meal and give a little bit more satiation. And then the fats, you just want to include good fats. So, avocado, coconut oil, nuts, seeds, nut butters, those type of things are good choices for your fat.
Okay. So what I'm hearing so far, ectomorphs, they got to get a little bit of protein, right? They're a decent amount of protein, right? We'll say like your general
Right.
1 gram per pound of body fat, but they got to pack on the carbohydrates because they're gonna burn through those babies with a little bit less fat in their diet.
Right.
So something more like the vertical diet is what I would
Hmm.
say, because a vertical diet, you do 1 gram per pound of body weight. I've done up to 350 to 400 grams of carbohydrates and less than like 30% fat. So it's relatively small. So you're eating a ton of carbohydrates
Right.
versus the mesomorphs are like right in the middle. That's our mama bear, right? The one that's just right. Okay. They're right in the middle as far as nutrition's concerned because they got a good balance of both. They got to kind of just make sure they're not going way off the deep end on either one, but they're a really good mixture of the three, right? They got to have 30, like I would say a 30, 35, 35 diet, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Okay. But as far as weight training is concerned, like what are we looking at for mesomorphs since they're kind of the golden child of fucking weightlifting and athleticism? Where would we put them as far as weight training is concerned?
So weight training, the mesomorph kind of does better with more frequency. So they're
Okay.
because they have a propensity to build and gain muscle, up to 5 days a week of weight training is good for a mesomorph,
Okay.
and will give them kind of like that ideal physique. So they may or choose 3 or 4 weight training exercises on their own, and then do sets of of 3 sets of each exercise using moderate to heavy weight, and then they may do 2 to 3 exercises of accessory movements, like we like to call, or isolation movements. So let's say they're doing like a pull day. They
Mm-hmm.
may have 3 or 4 exercises that are like barbell row, deadlift, like a T-bar row, those type of things. And then their accessory movement may be alternating bicep curls, single arm row. Those type of stuff will be their accessory movements. And those they may do 8 to 12 reps instead and do a 30 to 90-second rest. So do a little bit
Mm,
faster pace. That will help keep off a little bit of the body fat as they gain weight,
sure.
because they're going to burn a little bit more calories during those accessory movements. But those big compound movements where they're pushing a little bit more weight that start out their workout,
Mm-hmm.
is going to help maintain that muscular physique and help them look, kind of broad and like that ideal physique that they're looking for.
Gotcha. Perfect. Awesome. Love it. And as far as cardio is concerned, I know ectomorphs were kind of like laying off the cardio as much as possible. Mesos, what do they got to be at? What would you think?
So, cardiovascular exercise may help mesomorphs who are looking to lean out. So, consider adding between 30 to 45 minutes of cardio 3 to 5 times throughout your weekly routine,
Okay.
along with steady exercises. This is when, for a mesomorph, maybe once or twice a week, you may had some high intensity interval training or HIT training. We've talked about that before. HIT training lasts for 10 to maximum of 20 minutes, and you're intervaling between high output, so maximal effort for 10 to 30 seconds maximum, and then bringing it down to a steady pace for anywhere for a minute to 2 minutes.
Mm,
And that's kind of a high intensity interval training style.
okay.
So if a mesomorph is trying to lean out, then the recommendation is add that in 2 to 3 times a week in order to help those periods where they're trying to lean out while still maintaining muscle mass, because HIT training, because it's so short, you're less likely to lose muscle mass. The hard part about HIT training is it's like a weight training workout in how you have to recover from it. So
Mm,
that's why for like a mesomorph, they may be able to recover from that a little bit better because they just naturally have more muscle mass. Whereas an ectomorph, that may burn too many calories for them
right.
and they're losing muscle mass if they added a ton of cardio. So that's
Gotcha.
where you start to see the big differences between those two body types.
Yeah, I definitely find myself like when I'm trying to like get more conditioned, I definitely find myself shrinking much faster when I do more cardio. Like I have to like if I
Right.
want to stay big, I have to do heavy weights and a lot more hypertrophy work if I want to stay big while I'm trying to lean out.
Hmm.
Because if I just like focus on like doing a whole lot more cardio and like my I call it my skills training, right? Like training for MMA and stuff. If I do more skills training and less weight training, then I shrink like that. I feel. It also could be my disgusting
Right.
amount of body dysmorphia that I see myself as a skinny little bitch. But anywho's and how. That's what I think.
Any who's
Um,
it out.
Anywho's and Howard. All right, last one, you guys. We're gonna go over the endomorph. So this is the Papa Bear. And there's a reason why I called it the Papa Bear, by the way. But let's get into it. What the heck is an endomorph?
What the hell is
What
an
the hell is
endomorph?
an endomorph, Mr. Amanda Kim Fireball?
Um,
Okay, go ahead.
so an endomorph is characterized by someone who has higher body fat and less muscle. However, they also, like a mesomorph, can gain muscle pretty easily.
Okay.
They may appear more round and soft, and they may also put on pounds more easily. So, just in general, an endomorph is someone who can gain weight easily. Whether that's fat or muscle is up to them. So,
Okay,
like
okay.
for example, I consider myself very much an endomorph. I can gain weight very easily if I'm not careful. However, it benefits me because I can also put on muscle relatively quickly.
Right. No, for sure. I when I so you're I would say you're definitely the a woman version of the endomorph. However, there's also when I think of endomorph, I think of strongman for sure.
Yes,
Here's a good
it's a
one.
good example.
Lots of fighters are ectomorphs because they're just skinnier. I would say lots of CrossFit athletes to
Hmm.
kind of put into your brain. Ooh, wow! I just came with this off the top of my head. Man, the neurons are firing today. Okay, and a lot of I would say lots of mesomorphs are CrossFit athletes. I would say that's kind of the build that you have, like the elite CrossFit athletes, and
Right.
then strong men are the endomorph athletes.
Yeah,
Boom.
I would
It's
100%
done.
agree with that.
Guys, this has
Yep.
been the Make It Happen podcast. No, I'm
It's
just kidding.
done.
Okay. um, oh, for sure. But that's kind of like what you see. Just lots of strongmen. They put on a ton of fat, but they're also obviously strongmen. They're strong as a fucking ox, and they have copious amounts of muscle mass. So that's kind of what I think
Right.
of whenever I see um, endomorph.
Yeah, and I would 100% agree with Jupe. Like, an endomorph is they're not necessarily someone that has to be overweight, but they
Right.
are more likely to be overweight. And basically from a metabolic perspective, endomorphic bodies typically usually have some degree of carbohydrate or insulin sensitivity. So high carb foods are quickly converted to sugar in the bloodstream, and are more likely to be stored as fat rather than energy. Whereas an ectomorph is the opposite. An ectomorph is basically like, you give me carbohydrates, I'm burning through those bitches.
Yep.
An
Exactly.
endomorph is like, I may not need this like right in this moment. I'm just gonna store this for later.
Gotcha.
Like that's kind of how an endomorph works. So, as a result, many endomorphs have a higher body fat percentage, putting them at greater risk of developing diabetes, infertility, certain forms of cancer,
Oh wow.
heart disease, hypertension. So, like, they're more likely, just for the fact that they can be more overweight, to have health problems later on
Mm.
if they don't take control and basically pay attention to what their eating habits are, exercise on a regular basis. Those things are super important. And they may have a constant battle with decreasing or maintaining lower body fats. Like me, for example, it would be a real struggle for me to get to, like low body fats. I think the lowest body fat I've ever hit is about 16%.
Which is
For a
low for a
girl, that's
woman in
pretty good.
general. But
Yeah. Yeah. For a girl, it's pretty good. I maintain probably about 21% year
mhm,
round. Like that's probably my maintenance level, which, for someone that has a easier time gaining weight, that's pretty good.
mhm.
But if I was trying to get to like 12% body fat, it'd be super difficult for me.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense without a doubt. And just so y'all know, Amanda's stacked as a motherfucker right now. As I saw her this weekend, I don't understand how her shirts could contain her muscles. It was redonkulous. It was like this, strapped with
Yeah, I
the
came out
with
of the airport and Jupe Jupe gave me a hug and he was like, "Dude, you are solid."
yeah. First thing, not even like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Just gave her a hug, and I was like, holy shit, I'm hugging a fucking rock right now. My God. I didn't realize there was a fucking boulder coming here on the plane. Jesus Christ. Okay, cool.
You're
No
like,
problem.
"Shit."
Yeah, without a doubt. So is there anything else that endomorphs are kind of more prone to as far as nutrition and whatnot?
So, an endomorph, particularly, they do better on lower carbohydrate diets, not
Okay.
necessarily like keto or things like that,
Right.
or necessarily extreme low carbohydrate diets, but somewhere around maybe the lower to less than 30% range, like 30% or below. I would say
Gotcha.
on average, anywhere from 20 to 25% carbohydrates is better for an endomorph. And then their sources of carbohydrates really need to be mostly vegetables, unrefined sugar, and high fiber starches. So like
Mm,
quinoa, rice, whole grain pasta. So they kind of want to stay away from bread, cereal, crackers, cookies. A lot of the quick digesting
too
carbohydrates are
bad.
negative. Yep, are negatively affecting them. A lot of people recommend a paleo diet for an
Hmm.
endomorph, because each meal is centered around protein and vegetables and healthy fats and tends to be a little bit lower carbohydrate.
Mm.
So you want to aim for a nutrient blah, 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 blah.
Your
Aim
brain
for a
broke.
nutrient distribution. I know, literally, I couldn't say distribution for some reason.
That's okay.
But anyway, like we were saying, aim for 30% carbs, 35% protein, about 35% fat. So higher protein, higher fat diet works better for an endomorph, which I could say worked for me for a long time, especially when I was losing weight. But as I gained more muscle, I did need to increase carbohydrate intake,
Mm.
especially when I'm around like a powerlifting competition. I need more carbohydrates
But you
in my
monitor
diet.
it though. You monitor it
So,
really close, I bet, don't you?
correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I really do. So like if I feel like a couple days I've kind of gone over the carbohydrate and I kind of look kind of, I say, puffy and bloated, I'll cut back on the amount of
Mm.
carbohydrates I'm eating.
Gotcha. No, that makes total sense.
Um,
So with all of that, right? So we got all that goodies down. Since they carry more body fat, I presume their cardio needs are going to be different too, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, so their cardio and fitness needs, their training needs may be different. So typically they have a difficult time losing fat with diet alone.
Hmm.
So a well-rounded fitness program is a must for someone that has an endomorph type body. So exercise is essential into boosting their metabolism and must include both weight and cardio training. In
Gotcha.
general, endomorphs must commit to a lifelong program, with some type of progressive overload in their training.
Gotcha.
So building muscle muscle actually comes pretty easily to them because they can gain weight fairly easily. However, their slower metabolism, if they're eating too much excess calories, will lead to body fat instead of muscle.
Would
So
you
it's much more
say
difficult for them to stay lean.
so on that? Would you
Go
say
ahead.
that if they don't eat enough food, that they would hold on to more body fat as well? You know what I mean?
Correct.
That
Because if
that
you
body fat would,
undereat calories,
yeah.
yeah, if you undereat calories, you're slowing down your metabolism even more. And it's like a critical mistake that a lot of people make is they'll just cut their calories so low and it will work for a little bit. Like if you're overweight, yeah, you'll lose weight rapidly, but it's not sustainable. Like this is not a long-term solution for you to keep that weight off.
Mm,
So eventually, because you're eating so little calories, your body thinks it's you're starving itself and then it will bring your metabolism down to the amount of calories you're eating. So
yep.
at that point, you only have two choices: cut the calories again or add more activity.
Yep.
That's the only way to beat it. It comes down to that simple math.
Simple math.
Simple math. So when it comes to cardio, Endomorph's basic disposition is to take it easy and relax, but they kind of must stay in motion almost every day, all day, to fight against,
Mm,
gaining weight. The cardio training component is imperative for them to burn calories and
yeah.
create a bigger calorie deficit. So they should incorporate some type of high intensity interval training 2 to 3 times a week, no more than 30 minutes per workout, and incorporate 30 to 60 minutes of steady state cardio 2 to 3 times a week. So they're basically doing cardio anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week.
Yep.
And they're changing it up from HIIT to steady state cardio.
Keep the
So
body
that's
guessing.
difficult for most
Muscle
people.
confusion.
Yeah.
P90X. Whoops.
I always think of that commercial.
Yep. Yup. Absolutely.
So
Anywho's and
when it comes
howers.
to
What about the
weight
weights though?
training,
Yeah. Go ahead.
yep. When it comes to weight training to maintain and build lean body mass and lose body fat, they need to have weight training 5 to 6 days a week. And theirs are likely going to be higher reps, so higher rep ranges, a little bit lower weight. So they may be looking at the 8 to 15 rep range for
Mm-hmm.
certain exercises, 4 to 5 sets of each exercise, and anywhere from 30 to 60-second rest periods between each exercise. So they're
Gotcha.
looking at, because everything is about burning as many calories as possible for them to
Mm-hmm.
keep their metabolism going. So they're looking at much more less heavy weight and much more intensity and volume in their workouts.
So this is if they want to lose weight.
Correct.
But to my knowledge, endomorphs also have the propensity to be way stronger, correct?
Correct, because they can
Mm,
gain muscle pretty easily. So if your goal is trying to gain muscle, you're gonna have to do compound lifts and you're gonna have to do them heavy. That's the
mm-hmm.
only way to really gain large amounts of muscle. Unfortunately, for an endomorph, a lot of times they have to be really careful about their calorie consumption and about basically getting in enough activity because those heavy weight training sessions may not burn as many calories.
Mm,
So they have to be very mindful of their eating habits as well as their workout. So if you're trying to gain muscle as an endomorph, it will come pretty easily to you as long as you're maintaining your nutrition component and really sticking to your diet in order to not have it be little muscle and gaining more fat or increasing your body fat as you're trying to gain muscle. That's
yeah.
always the ticking time bomb or the teetering scale for them to try to maintain.
Yeah. So, guys, you based on what we've heard here today, I th- we've touched base on all the three different body types we've got, ecto, meso, and endo. I would say kind of like reflect on like, do you tend to hang on to body fat? Do you tend to maintain like being pretty skinny? Are you right in the middle? Kind of assess what your body is to kind of get in. We've given you all the tools to hit the all of the zones that you need to achieve your goals. Any other last thoughts, Miss Fireball?
I would say, kind of always take things like your which one you fall into with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because some people can kind of mix into both. Like some people can be ectomorph in certain aspects and then also be a little bit mesomorph. Like it's very rare to find someone that's strictly one or the other. So if you find that you are more of an endomorph, kind of like me, but I tend to actually gain muscle fairly easily, like a mesomorph does, then you kind of want to cater your weight training and your nutrition to that and kind of find what works best for you. Because it all comes down to like personal preference, like I did cardio at one point for like 7 days a week for long periods of time, but I never got stronger because of that. And I
Mm.
was always worried about calories and increasing body fat. And at some point, it just mentally didn't become healthy for me. So I switched to something that was a little bit more manageable for me. And still, I was able to not gain a ton of body fat and look more the way I wanted to. So these are just guidelines, but really find what works best for you and really kind of play with things and use yourself as your own experiment because you don't really know what's going to work for you until you try something.
But don't take that in a dirty way, okay? Don't don't play with yourself and use yourself as an experiment in a dirty way. You
Everything's
nasties.
dirty.
You nasties. None of that.
You're nasty.
All right, guys. This has been the latest installment of the Make It Happen podcast, y'all. Until next time, love, peace, and protein.
Peace.